Aloha Sydzillians, welcome back to another episode of This and That in Stars. After 2 months, I finally have a new video on this channel, and for today's episode we are going to be reviewing Netflix's new movie, The Kissing Booth 2. Similar to my other reviews, there will be no clips from the actual movie, but different to my other reviews, this one will contain some spoilers, as you can tell by the title. In order to say what I want to say, I have to give away these details. If you have not seen my review for The Kissing Booth 1, I will link that in the description below, and you can go watch that either after this or before you continue. So first I'm going to give a basic plot summary of the movie. If you recall from the first one, Elle and Lee are the best of friends ever since they were born, same day, same time, same place. Anyway, the second movie takes place 27 days from where the first one has left off. Elle, Lee, and Lee's girlfriend Rachel are starting their senior year of high school along with the rest of their classmates, and Noah, Elle's girlfriend and Lee's older brother, has moved 3,000 miles away to attend school in Boston at Harvard. At Elle and Lee's school, there is a new kid, Marco Pena, and everyone thinks he's like the greatest thing since Noah was there, the new hot kid on the block. And meanwhile, at Noah's school, he's made friends with this girl named Chloe, who looks like some kind of Instagram model, and it gets Elle nervous. So one of the major conflicts in this movie is Elle deciding which university she wants to go to. Option 1, she can go to UC Berkeley with Lee. That has been their dream since they were children, since that is where their moms went and became best friends. Or choice 2, she can go to Boston and Harvard with Noah. He's asked her to consider doing that. Given this whole debate on which school to attend, Lee asks her dad how much money is in the college fund, but it's not enough for any big fancy private schools. So next time she's at the arcade with Lee, she happens to notice a poster for a dance contest based around their favorite dance video game. The grand prize will solve all of her problems because it's $50,000, so she asks Lee to join her and sign up. Lee agrees to join Elle's dance team, but later he falls and injures his ankle. I use air quotes because we learn that the injury is fake, and he did it so he could spend more time with Rachel. I'll get to their drama in a second. So to replace Lee on the team, Elle's going to dance with new kid Marco. He's very, very good at that game, taking the top spot from Elle and Lee a few times in the movie on the game's leaderboard. Also, that dance game is how they convince Marco to do their kissing booth at the fundraiser. If Elle wins the dance-off, he'll do it, and if Marco wins the dance-off, he won't do it. Now it's time for the Lee and Rachel drama that I alluded to. Throughout the movie, the three of them, meaning Lee, Elle, and Rachel, are seen hanging out together multiple times. And normally when three people hang out together, there are two ways that it can go. Either everyone is totally fine and they get along great, or one person feels like a third wheel. And normally that third wheel is the friend. There's the couple and there's the friend. And so the friend feels awkward and left out. But in this case, it was Rachel who was feeling left out from the friendship. They would go on and on about their rules. For example, this one time down at the pier. And so Rachel faked sickness and went home because she was feeling unincluded. Another example of Lee-Rachel drama is when Lee forgot their date. He's busy hanging out at the arcade with Elle playing their favorite dance video game when he suddenly remembers about it and runs her off. When he finds Rachel at her house, she's really upset because he'd left her waiting 45 minutes alone outside the movie theater. This is also when Rachel gives Lee an ultimatum, saying if you can't make this relationship seem important, then I guess we don't have a relationship. You have to tell Elle that we need our space. And Lee can't do that to his best friend. She's lonely because Noah left, and again, they're best friends. So that is why he fakes the injury. He thinks that's his get out of jail card. He can spend time with Rachel, and Elle won't have to know the depressing truth. A major failing of Lee's plan occurs at the Halloween dance. Originally, the three of them were going to dress up as s'mores. Elle and Lee were the graham crackers with chocolate, and Rachel was the marshmallow in the middle. However, Elle and Lee changed their costumes last minute to Ghostbusters, and no one told Rachel, so she showed up as a marshmallow, and it was really awkward. Also, there was this one song that Lee's like, yeah, this is my jam, so he runs off to dance with Elle, not with the girlfriend, so she's really upset and depressed the entire dance. The final Lee and Rachel scene that I want to talk about is Lee's apology speech over the PA system. Long story short, he will end up saying that he loves her and then asks for a response in emojis. If you send me a smiley face, you love me back. If you send me a poop, then you do not love me back. And as he's being escorted away to detention, because apparently you can't hijack the PA and get away with it, he says, yes, smiley face. So that tells you that Rachel does love him back. Speaking of PA systems, let's backtrack to a scene near the beginning of the movie. Elle is shown a workout video of Margot on a girl's phone. I think one of the OMG girls, but I don't exactly remember. And at one point, she will put down her backpack and grab the phone in her hands so she can have a better view of the video. But when she put down her backpack, it accidentally flipped the switch that turned on the PA system over the entire school. So all of her comments about how hot Marco is, looking like a snack, and how his sweat is glistening like sparkles, and how she'd bite his butt, and all this other stuff, I don't want to quote the entire thing, but all her speeches about how hot and sexy this guy is are being heard by the entire school, and everyone's laughing and loving it. Meanwhile, Lee has jumped up from his desk and is running across the entire school, falling into people and walls and recycling bins, smacking into the school mascot carrying a cake for the teacher because it was his birthday party. It's a whole thing. He's on this massive chase scene to run and turn off the PA system, and it's really hilarious. Lee's antics, Elle's quote of how sexy he is, even though she has a boyfriend. It's a whole thing, and it's really funny. So now let's talk about something that I was not at all expecting to have happen, which is the adorable relationship between Ollie and Miles. The first Ollie and Miles scene that we get is at school during sports day. There are two different teams. One has Marco as captain, and one has Elle as captain. It's Elle's turn to choose her third and final teammate. She wants to pick Tuppin, tall, muscular, good sports, strong, the obvious choice for a third teammate. But Ollie wants her to pick Miles. She's not convinced. She's like, really, student body president Miles? And Ollie's like, yes, he's very good at football. So Elle agrees and chooses him because we have no reason to see why Ollie would be lying. So she gets Miles onto her team, and Margot obviously goes for Tuppin. And later we'll learn out why Ollie wanted to choose Miles. It's not because of his sports ability at all. It's a completely different reason. The second Ollie and Miles scene occurs at the beach when the two of them are playing some frisbee with a couple of other friends. At one point, Ollie will take a break, jog over, and plop down on some beach towels next to Elle. And at a point in their conversation, it will be discovered that Ollie has a crush on Miles. Now, he's not sure why he does, since Miles is a total dork, noted when he falls over and misses the frisbee pass completely. But Elle notes that, yeah, he's adorable, I agree with you. Ollie calls him smart, and Elle's like, yeah, and those dimples. She also tells him that if you like Miles, you should go after him. Don't care what the other guys think, and just go for it. This beach scene basically admits the true reason as to why Miles was selected for their sports team. The third Ollie and Miles scene occurs at the Halloween dance that I mentioned earlier. At one point, Ollie and Miles are having a conversation together, and it seems like Miles wants to ask Ollie to dance, or something like that. It's a really cute scene when all of a sudden two other boys run up and start talking to Ollie. Ollie will end up leaving away with those two boys, and Miles is left hanging. He never got to say what he wanted to say, and you can tell how sad his face is. And this scene just made me really upset that those two guys would come over and ruin their moment. Like, while I watched the movie, I was drinking a drink. I'm old enough to have beer because I'm 19, and I literally crushed the can. I was so angry. I destroyed the can because I was irate at those two dudes for taking Ollie away from the moment. However, my anger didn't have a chance to last very long because they got an even better, even cuter moment during the fourth and final Ollie Miles scene. So we're finally at the point in the movie where it's time for the carnival fundraiser. It's time for Lee and Elle to run their kissing booth. So in this particular moment, it's Ollie's turn to be blindfolded and up on the pedestal. It's Ollie's turn to be the kisser to all of the people handing in their tickets. So the girl walks up to kiss him. He's standing here on the bar, and the girl walks up. She's puckering up to kiss him, and he's just standing there, looking down, not kissing her. and she's confused as to what's going on when he takes off his blindfold and looks out into the crowd. Ollie's eyes note Elle and remember what he said, and remember what she said at the beach before he notes on Miles and walks down to him. Ollie asks Miles if he has a ticket, which he does, so then Ollie proceeds to take his leap of faith and kiss Miles. And the entire school just starts freaking cheering. The crowd around the booth is like, yeah, yeah. Like, all of them are just so happy for them. And honestly, I was really happy too, because like, they got their moment. Thank you. Those guys that dance, see how mad you made me? But that moment makes up for everything. Ollie and Miles getting their happy ending, I'll admit that I actually almost cried. It was such a good moment. Also, speaking of good moments from the kissing booth, I want to quickly go back to Lee and Rachel. At one point, Lee was blindfolded and brought up to the pedestal, and Rachel, also blindfolded, was brought up to the pedestal. And when they kissed each other, they realized that their love was still there, all their anger washed away, and they stayed a couple. Happy endings all around. And yes, happy endings all around does imply that Elle stayed with Noah at the end of the movie. The kiss that she gave to Marco in the Hear the Moment at the dance competition presentation doesn't mean anything to her. Sorry, Marco, I'm gonna break your heart like that. I don't love you that way. And everything happening with Chloe, they are truly just platonic friends. That earring she found under the bed, yes, it is Chloe's earring, but that was there when she spent the night on a time that Noah was not home. She slept there, but he was not there. So nothing happened between them, and Noah stayed with Elle to be our third happy couple of the movie. It's finally time for me to give my review of the movie, my official rating out of 10, and I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. It does 0.5 better than the first movie. The reason why I give this movie such a high score is because I loved all of it, and it was such a roller coaster ride of emotions. Laughing, crying, cringing, cheering, my anger. And I also really loved how the two main couples stayed together. Lee was with Rachel and Elle was with Noah, even if Elle and Noah are very predictable. Take, for example, Taller Boys and the Laura Jean vs. Peter vs. John scenario. I also really liked how, in the end, Ollie and Miles finally got their cute moment, and I really hope that they're a bit more major of a character come the third movie. However, it didn't get any higher on my list because a lot of the movie was predictable. As much as I love being right, as much as I love saying X will happen, and then X does happen, and I'm like, yes, that happened, I knew it. It's also more gratifying to watch a movie where I don't call 3/4 of the plot and say I could have written it for them. That wraps up this review of The Kissing Booth 2. If you liked it, please drop one down below and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future content. Comment below your opinion of the movie if you've already seen it, and check out the description for my review of the first movie. Follow me on all of my social media accounts, and aloha till next time.